Never call The Sopranos too serious until you've seen a getaway driver flee at the sound of one gunshot. The attempted robbery of the poker game stands as one of television's great unintentional comedies, a heist so catastrophically ill-conceived that it borders on performance art.
Sure you want to do this?
Why? Oh, you?
Fuck it, let's go down the shore.
Let's do it before the crank wears off.
Its architect, Jackie, has the nerve to question whether the group is really sure moments before launching the plan, as though the entire debacle weren't his brainchild. His rallying cry, "Let's do it before the crank wears off,"
Let's do it before the crank wears off.
sets exactly the level of professionalism one expects from a crew whose strategic thinking never rose above, "If we rob them, they'll be impressed with us."
Very bad, boys. Very bad.
This is a low-level game, guys. The only thing you're gonna get around here is practice.
The mobsters' reaction only deepens the farce. They greet the would-be assailants not with fear, but with the weary disappointment of parents who have discovered yet another broken lamp.
Got it, son. Leave them while you're looking good.
Sunshine, dispensing fortune cookie philosophy mid-robbery, is abruptly silenced by a bullet. While Furio erupts into operatic Neapolitan fury after taking one to the leg, a moment made even funnier by the actor's eerily accurate accent work.
If you can keep your head while those around you can't, then you're...
Chaos blossoms instantly. The getaway driver flees at the first sound of gunfire, abandoning the operation with admirable self-preservation. Jackie responds by stealing a car like a video game delinquent, casually leaving his friend to negotiate his own survival. Said friend, in a final flourish of misguided loyalty, invokes Ralph's name as if that affiliation might save him, tragically unaware that it only furnishes Christopher with further incentive to pull the trigger. Even after the carnage settles, Furio continues his volcanic tirade from the back seat as the mobsters collect Christopher and head out, completing a sequence in which 3 people die, yet the comedic undertow remains irresistible. The absurdity continues well beyond the failed heist. The Jackie Jr. storyline unfolds as a masterclass in darkly comic character study.
I got friends here, man. Let me call my man Carlo.
His attempts at playing tough, including the misadventure with poor Matouche, who ends up hospitalized because Jackie predictably cannot fulfill the deal he initiated.
There's this guy, his name's Matouche. He's a drug dealer. He did it, I swear, not me.
Underline just how unequipped he is for the life he imagines. His refusal to hand Matouche a bedpan contrasts sharply with Tony's almost parental care for his own injured associates. The comparison makes Jackie's inadequacy unmistakable.
Sunshine.
And then there is Sunshine, whose brief appearance delivers more aphorisms than some characters manage in entire seasons. Victory has 100 fathers, but defeat is an orphan, being a standout reminder that the show's minor figures often carry disproportionate weight. Viewed through the lens of dark comedy, these events crystallize the series' enduring brilliance. The plan is precisely what a pack of chemically enhanced 20-somethings with marginal high school records would devise, and the outcome is exactly what such a plan deserves. The Sopranos excels at threading action, humor, and tragedy into a single seamless chord, and nowhere is that talent more evident than in the sublime disaster of Jackie Jr.'s grand criminal aspirations. If you think AJ was just a whiny kid, you missed the most devastating character arc in the entire series. The enduring parlor game of What Happened After the Diner inevitably drags AJ Soprano into its gravitational pull.
What looks good tonight?
I don't know. Where's the goat?
He just called. He's on his way.
If Tony Soprano truly met his end in that booth, an abrupt, silent exit before the onion rings got cold, the question becomes whether his son followed shortly after, undone by the psychological wreckage the series meticulously documented.
That it's all a big nothing.
What is?
Life.
Given AJ's already delicate mental health by the final season,
Could have been a cry for help.
Aren't you listening? He did cry for help. He's lucky I came home and heard him.
imagining him collapsing entirely under the weight of such a trauma is not exactly a stretch. Some would call it the most predictable tragedy in the Soprano family playbook. Yet, the counter-argument is surprisingly optimistic. Perhaps Tony's sudden absence didn't shatter AJ, perhaps it released him. Removing the family's volcanic center of gravity may have freed the perpetually scrutinized son from the constant pressure of paternal judgment. Without Tony's suffocating disappointment hovering over every adolescent misstep, AJ might finally have been permitted to form an identity not built around failure. At minimum, the family's abrupt financial realities could have forced him into competence, a developmental milestone the series often teased but rarely delivered.
When are you going to throw that friggin' thing out the friggin' window?
What makes this debate compelling is the simple fact that AJ never stood a chance in that household. 6 seasons of casual belittlement, emotional inconsistency, and a father whose parenting philosophy oscillated between dismissive and destructive left the boy wobbling long before the concluding fade to black. His vulnerability was not a last-minute plot twist. It was a family achievement.
Expressing my feelings in that house. That's why.
Viewers watched a child who was not merely moody or directionless, but genuinely emotionally battered. Something rendered with such grounded realism that the character often felt less performed than observed. And then there is the pop cultural curveball. The 2022 Super Bowl commercial, directed by David Chase himself, which features an adult AJ alongside Meadow and is widely interpreted as a pseudo-sequel nod. If one wishes to believe in AJ's survival and improvement, that piece of canon light offers a convenient lifeline. Chase may not have written an epilogue, but he did film one. In the end, AJ's fate remains suspended in the same ambiguity that swallowed the series' final seconds. Whether he succumbed to despair, rose to belated maturity, or simply drifted into a quietly mediocre adulthood is impossible to know. Yes, even with computers. But the debate reveals something essential about the character. He was never just the Soprano family's hapless punchline. He was its most human casualty, and perhaps its only chance at redemption. Stop pretending the Christopher Meadow relationship vanished for any reason other than writer roulette. The series briefly flirts with the notion that Christopher and Meadow share a warm, almost sibling-like bond, close enough for late-night bedroom conversations and nostalgic mentions of Happy Meals, only to discard the entire dynamic with the enthusiasm of a character fleeing a moral responsibility.
It's your little cousin. Hey, how you doing?
What are you doing here?
Yeah, hello to you too.
And Hunter, what are you doing?
One episode frames them as affectionate cousins. The rest of the season treats them like distant acquaintances who once exchanged a polite nod at a baptism. The explanation lurks in plain sight. Meadow's relationships, much like her whims, operate on a strikingly transactional basis. Affection appears when something desirable is within reach.
Jackie Jr. took her to the city to see Aida. He's been a perfect gentleman. He takes her to the city for a little culture.
Jackie Jr. has Molly, and suddenly she's a swooning romantic heroine.
It's so cool you're gonna be able to come to Aspen with my family at Christmas.
Hunter offers a connection to Aspen, and it's all hot cocoa and tender camaraderie.
Christine, I'm so glad you stayed behind.
I kind of wanted to.
When I found out about Eric's car...
Eric Scatino arrives with a cool car, instantly elevated to best friend status, until Tony repossesses the vehicle and the friendship evaporates faster than Eric's credit score.
A minute, is that why you got out the suitcase?
I am not going back to the site.
Do you have any
And then there's Finn, who merely opens a suitcase and apparently triggers an operatic emotional revelation. Consistency is not her strong suit. Convenience is. Of course, the writers don't escape scrutiny. In the first season, Christopher is framed as a young man in his early 20s, close enough in age to Meadow to plausibly anchor that cousinly familiarity. By the second season, he mysteriously ages upward into someone Tony can groom as a future underboss. The shift is subtle only in the way Ray Liotta playing a 21-year-old in Goodfellas was subtle, or Robert De Niro digitally de-aged into a man allegedly somewhere between 35 and 55 in The Irishman. It's the kind of artistic sleight of hand creators deploy while hoping audiences are too engrossed to check the math. Yes, Christopher is more likely in his late 20s during season 1, with Meadow at 16, old enough to explain former closeness, yet also old enough to justify the drifting apart that follows. Life happens, adulthood expands, and the two characters move into different emotional universes. Fine, logical enough. But what feels less like organic character evolution and more like creative restlessness is the show's casual willingness to revise, rearrange, and reinvent itself from one season to the next. Recasts materialize, locations shift, props mutate, from scooters to bicycles, and the continuity strains under the weight of its own improvisation. David Chase treated the early seasons as more of a suggestion than a blueprint, forever tweaking the machinery, never quite interested in preserving the remnants of what came before. Creative freedom? Yes, but occasionally the sort that leaves viewers staring at the screen asking, with great dramatic sincerity, where did that relationship go? Never pretend the mob life was glamorous. Brian's entire arc exposes how hollow that fantasy really is. Brian Camerata always looked like the sort of suburban golden boy who should never get within 10 feet of a criminal enterprise.
Carmelo's cousin, Brian Camerata, Ralphie Cifaretto.
This is the life, huh?
What life's that?
And yet somehow managed to float near it without singeing his eyebrows.
My cousin, Brian Camerata, has helped lots of people set up trusts for their kids.
He drifted into Tony Soprano's orbit with the cheerful recklessness of someone who mistook a tornado for a gentle breeze.
Tony, I was just speculating. I never meant for you to...
Your name will never come up.
No, it's not that. It's just the American taxpayers...
The American taxpayers who pay for airport security. Look how well that's going. Give me a fucking break.
This is like a $15,000 watch, Tony. I can't take this.
It's just a little thank you, that's all.
He offered Tony a genuinely useful financial idea, collected a luxury watch and a few finely tailored suits for his trouble, and celebrated the occasion with the kind of extracurriculars that pass for wholesome recreation in that universe. Sampling strippers, inhaling questionable substances, and redecorating limousines with his stomach lining. A model citizen, if the model is a mildly inebriated investment banker.
For tax-deferred growth, the annuity's fine, but if I'm hearing you right, liquidity's the real concern?
Well, we do occasionally need ready access to our money.
Honestly, guys, I'd recommend the life insurance trust.
Yet beneath the antics was a rare creature in Soprano world, a civilian with actual intelligence, and even rarer survival instincts. While the rank-and-file mob aspirants prided themselves on their capacity for catastrophic decisions, Brian demonstrated the revolutionary insight that one can earn far more money with far fewer bullets by maintaining a respectable career. At worst, his professional missteps might land him in a soft-focus federal facility for insider trading, an outcome that, in that crowd, qualifies as a luxury retreat.
Anyway,
Well, isn't your cousin Brian handling your money now?
the big things, the investments, he's doing well, too. I don't know. Tony pulls people into his circle.
This, of course, places him among the show's quiet geniuses, the people who understand that proximity to the mob is useful, but involvement is fatal. Charmaine Bucco may remain the valedictorian of this philosophy, but Brian certainly earned a place on the honor roll. He enjoyed the periphery, close enough to benefit, distant enough to survive.
I just remember what happened to the power drill.
Pardon me?
I loaned it to your cousin, Brian, and he never gave it...
Even the minor blemishes on his record, the infamous unreturned drill, the reliance on ideas rather than muscle, only reinforce the point. To step fully into Tony's world, Brian would have needed more than clever schemes. He would have required the moral elasticity of a man willing to transform financial hypotheticals into felonies. The show offered a cautionary example in the pilot's once straight healthcare executive who slid off the ethical cliff. Brian was wise enough not to follow. So he retreats to the safety of suburban respectability, living comfortably in Carmela's speculative home, perhaps blissfully unaware that the construction's integrity may pose more imminent danger than Tony Soprano ever did. In the end, he remains exactly where he belongs, a competent professional who flirted with the underworld, took a few party favors, and then, miraculously, walked away with both knees intact. Never overlook Father Phil's biggest flaw. He wants every door open, but refuses to walk through any of them. Father Phil remains one of television's most exquisitely aggravating parasites, a man who cloaks personal longing in clerical fabric and then feigns wounded innocence when reality refuses to rearrange itself for his benefit.
Father, turn it off. I can't handle it.
What is it?
Yo, Father, I'm a terrible person.
Oh.
His specialty is using spiritual authority as a backstage pass into Carmela's emotional life, only to wilt with theatrical disappointment the moment he discovers she is entertaining companionship not named Tony Soprano. The performance at the restaurant, his crestfallen sulk when he learns she has moved on, could have earned him an honorary doctorate in passive-aggressive martyrdom.
Would you like something?
Some wine, if it's open.
Mm-hmm.
For all his murmured piety and butter-wouldn't-melt demeanor, he is essentially a romantic opportunist who refuses to choose a lane.
Think.
No, you know what I think, Father? I think that you like I don't even know what to call it, the whiff of sexuality.
He flirts with transgression just enough to keep the fantasy alive, but retreats into the safety of the collar whenever consequences threaten. A tease, yes, but one wrapped in the moral insulation of the priesthood. The bar is admittedly low, but at least his misdirected affections involve consenting adults.
Oh my God, look at you!
Oi, I hope I'm not barging in.
Oh no, I was watching TV.
He also carries the unmistakable air of a schnorrer, forever hovering, forever helping himself to the emotional resources of others while pretending the favor flows in the opposite direction.
Allowing my children, oh my God, my sweet children, to be a part of it.
Watching him circle Carmela under the guise of pastoral concern underscores a broader pattern: the show's fascination with characters who manipulate vulnerability while insisting they are merely responding to it. The series does offer a certain charm in depicting a straight priest wrestling with temptation during an era when the institution was mired in far darker scandals.
Everything that you've done for me, Father Phil, truly. The religious counseling.
And the eventual détente between him and Carmela lands as a rare moment of uncomplicated humanity.
How does Rosalie April fit into your feelings for me?
Still, one can imagine a far more entertaining trajectory had he redirected his energies toward Rosalie April. A flirtation, an affair, perhaps even a departure from the priesthood, ripe opportunities for chaos, jealousy, and wardrobe upgrades courtesy of Jackie April's closet. Picture Father Phil swaggering around in tailored suits, entertaining delusions of underworld gravitas. Naturally, it would all collapse. This is The Sopranos, after all. A gambling problem, a debt to Ralphie, a descent into the same vortex that swallowed so many others. It would have fit right in. A man that eager to borrow identities might as well borrow someone's ruin, too. Here's the part fans gloss over. Tony didn't just threaten violence. His entire parenting style was built on it. The scenario is almost cinematic in its inevitability.
Yeah, you got money?
Why not?
How about for starters, your father will put a bullet in my head?
Meadow, visibly high, confesses that her supplier is none other than Christopher, who, in a stroke of misguided chivalry, claims he stepped in only to protect her from the truly dangerous dealers who might rob or assault her. A noble act in his mind. In Tony's, a detonator. The resulting fallout would follow a very predictable order of operations. Violence first, questions later.
Whoever finds out you got this from me,
Yeah.
okay? I'm no drug dealer. I just don't want to see you get poisoned. Your father ever finds out.
Christopher's explanation, framed as an act of paternalistic heroism, would likely be the only thread keeping him alive or employed. It might even provide Tony the convenient pretext to dispose of less valued associates, such as the perpetually doomed Falone kid. No one in Tony's orbit, however, should confuse that sliver of mercy with leniency. Tony has long demonstrated that a hands-on approach is not reserved solely for enemies. Even Meadow could expect the legendary grip against the wall treatment, depending on how unvarnished her condition appeared. Physical harm toward her is improbable, but intimidation delivered with surgical precision would be entirely on brand. As for Christopher, poetic exaggeration becomes almost redundant. He has already suffered one broken neck. Tony would not hesitate to metaphorically, or even literally, break the spare. The hilltop burial surrounded by pine cones writes itself. In fact, imagining Christopher fast-tracked to his Season 6 fate in the pilot episode feels less like hyperbole and more like an editorial note the writers somehow declined to use. Of course, Tony's reaction hinges on context. Discovering Meadow mildly wired, dilated pupils, clenched jaw, studying with Hunter, would produce a fury of one caliber.
Oh, tequila bread.
Sorry, Dad.
It's all right, kiddo. Just hang on with me.
Discovering her intoxicated in a club, half coherent with a 30-year-old's hand wandering where it never should, that would unleash an entirely different animal, one for whom restraint is not even a decorative concept. Ecstasy might have been survivable. Speed, unfortunately, lacks plausible deniability. And in this version of events, Richie would need to find a different hill for his own pinecone-framed interment. Christopher would already be occupying the first vacancy.
Meadow wanted the crystal. If I didn't get it to her, she would have went down Jefferson Avenue. Listen to me. I was trying to save her.